Hey guys, how you doing? Today we have a very exciting video. I can't wait to get into this one. Now, okay, where do I begin? Before Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker came out, which was directed by J.J. Abrams, who directed Episode 7. It was originally supposed to be directed by a man named Colin Trevorrow. He went on to write and direct Jurassic World. And the scripts for Duel of the Fates, Colin Trevorrow's Episode 9, versus Rise of Skywalker, vastly different. I got to actually see more of the script and the original one, and I think that Duel of the Fates would have been much more impressive. I think it would have made the entire saga much more cohesive, and I think it would have made the sequel trilogy much less disjointed. Because, hey, it feels pretty damn disjointed. I gotta say that. All right, Episode 7 was cool. Episode 8 just took it somewhere else, and then Episode 9 spent all of its time trying to fix Episode 8, so we really didn't get to advance on the story. It just we're just stuck in this loop a little bit. Upon my second viewing of Episode 9, I kind of feel like I was able to absorb some things differently. Some things that impressed me the first viewing didn't impress me the second viewing, because then I got to be like, why? You know? That being said, I still enjoyed it from where we were led with Episode 8, but I feel like a lot of things could have been so much better. They could have been they could have been thought out. They could have been thought out. Plain and simple. The concept art here is absolutely phenomenal, and it is beautiful, and I'm going to go through it with you guys together. So let's start with the first one. Here is Rey with a double-bladed lightsaber, and she's obviously on a Star Destroyer, and she's taken out First Order troopers. Look at her wardrobe. Look at what she's wearing, her outfit. This is Luke's Return of the Jedi outfit. Now, it may not be exactly Luke's, of course, like the identical one, but it's the same thing. She's got that flap that comes over, and it's harkening back to that Episode 6, which is beautiful in my opinion. And she's much more, it just shows she's much more raw and not, I don't want to say dark, but more powerful. She's really embracing her abilities as a Jedi here. And I think this would have been something very suiting to her in this film. This is Coruscant. And it looks like Phasma, who has returned somehow, or maybe it's just another Phasma, because unfortunately she died in Episode 8. Don't know why. They are basically killing a Resistance fighter, and they have this laser that doesn't look like you're just going to chop his head off, medieval style, as a sort of demonstration in front of so many people. What does it say? Bisk Kova Resistance traitor is executed with a light blade guillotine on Coruscant. That's very okay. I can understand like why maybe Disney didn't want this, because it's extremely dark, but it would have been so cool. I would have loved to see that. Rey and Luke train on Korolev. This would have been great. I would have loved to see Rey actually train with Luke, because we didn't get that ever really, except for Episode 9. But that was at the very end, and it was just a little bit. And at the very end of the saga, I mean, the crew flies to Bonadan. The crew flies to Bonadan, where Poe lived with his grandfather. Now, okay, it's cool, but I mean, just visually, it looks so stunning, and I can only imagine what it actually would have looked like. Poe and Rey pilot a razor sail through Bonadan waters, chased by the Knights of Ren in the Knife 9. This is pretty sweet. Rey and Poe, and then the Knife 9. One of the things that we didn't get in Episode 9 were the Knights of Ren. We didn't get them in Episode 7. We didn't get them in Episode 8 at all. So it's like, what is so cool about them? We got them in the comics, and okay, so I'm going to tell you, they're a little bit force sensitive, and that's about it. One of them had a lightsaber, and that's pretty much all we know. That's all where the story goes for now. But we shouldn't have to revert to the comics. As much as I love the comics and explaining them, bringing to life, whatever, on the channel, we shouldn't have to revert to the comics to understand characters in Star Wars, at least major characters that are hyped up as much as the Knights of Ren. I mean, we saw them in that flashback vision, and then we saw them in Episode 9, but really they didn't do anything other than just, like, look around. That was about it for them. This dude is cool. He's about 7,000 years old. His name is Tor Valum, and I believe he's on Mortis. He is like this ancient, dark Force user dude. I mean, look at him. He just looks evil. So that would have been very cool for Kylo to go to him. Kylo fights Vader in a vision. Now, apparently, in the script, Tor Valum was supposed to put this idea in his mind. And Kylo was supposed to just imagine it, but feel like it was really happening to him. And it was supposed to be a very, very gruesome fight, a grueling fight between Vader and Kylo. And Kylo was going to be bested, of course, as he should. And it would have been really cool to see. I feel like they really missed the opportunity with that in Episode 9, with bringing back legendary characters. And who's more legendary than Vader himself? Even just as a vision, because then you can really do anything. First Order occupies Coruscant. We would have gotten Coruscant, as we saw up here with the guillotine. Look at this shit. Look at the visuals. Just imagine that. In the theater, you're seeing that. It just would have tied a lot of the worlds together. Rose, Finn, 3PO, and R2 attempt to activate the beacon on Coruscant to broadcast Leia's hologram to the galaxy. That's cool. I feel like that's a much better approach than Palpatine broadcasting his message to the galaxy. I have returned. I am now alive again. And that part where they... I really think that was an extra scene that they had to shoot with Poe, where he's like, Palpatine has returned. We don't know how. And then the Lord of the Rings guy is like, yeah, cloning, Sith magic, the Force, dark side. It's just like, I feel like they just really rushed that scene, and I don't think JJ would do that. I feel like he got gypped on that one. They just like cut his scene out that he actually had that maybe would have shown more of that film or shown more of that background. It's unfortunate because I would have liked to have seen all that, but we didn't get to see that. Finn being Finn. Finn rallies citizens on Coruscant Underground. Coruscant Underground. That would have been cool. He rallies them to fight back. Now, George Lucas created a show that was going to premise around the underground of Coruscant, and I believe he wrote 50 pages of it or something of the sort, or was it 50 episodes? Either way, it was 50-something, I believe, according to online. And it was supposed to take place on Coruscant, and it was supposed to be governing all of the underworld creatures and villains and bounty hunters and things like that. And I think that's where a lot of the inspiration for The Mandalorian went to, right? So, and especially we know that George is on set quite often with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, which makes me happy. Rey faces a monster outside the forest of Mortis. Let that sink in. All right, so not only is she fighting a monster with a double-bladed lightsaber that looks like a Rancor, but just bigger, kind of alluding to Luke's challenge of fighting a Rancor, but it's outside the forest of Mortis. You've heard me talk about Mortis well enough on this channel. Underground Coruscant, citizens paint and prepare old walkers. Now, okay, so I'm going to show you a little zoomed in of that. This would have been really cool to see. The Resistance fighters just war painting. I mean, why not? Just make them look cool. Deck them out, you know? Personalize them. I think it would have been sweet. And getting all like the AT-ATs again, AT-ATs, the ATSTs. That would have been cool if they had AT-ATs, but the ATSTs here. Oh wait, is that no? That's not an AT. That's not an AT-AT. I think it would have been sweet, man. You got some war paint going. What do we got? Yeah, just another shot of it. And we got the Guerrilla Walkers, and these guys are just ready to fire. This would have been an amazing scene, dude. Just with imagine with the music and then just. That's me trying to be an ATST, but it didn't work. Defected stormtroopers and Coruscant citizens cheer around old painted forest. Oh wow, interesting. Defected stormtroopers. You see some of them with their helmets off. Oh wow, cool. I feel like that was also another missed thing, is that we could have seen more of Finn. Finn had such an interesting backstory, and we know that he's force sensitive now, according to J.J. Abrams and all the like 12 illusions that we got in episode 9. So it's like I want to know more about him. You know, that's an interesting concept. We've never gotten a rogue stormtrooper like that in the films, and I really wish they would have extrapolated upon that. Stormtroopers prepare for battle against Coruscant citizens. Seems like a lot of Coruscant would have been in this film, and I would have been down with that because the thing with Rise of Skywalker is like we only got to see just a few planets, right? It was like Pasaana. It wasn't Endor, but it was the ocean moon of Endor, and then we got to see Kijimi. What else did we see? A couple other planets. It just kind of felt a little claustrophobic. I feel like we should have seen more grandiose, planets, new planets, some of the old planets from the prequels, not just the sequels, but things that we've seen before, things we've grown up with, wherever you started watching Star Wars. Whether you were, born in the 90s like myself, or you saw the originals in 1977, or you are a sequel baby where you grew up with the sequels. Either way, we should have seen all of the different planets, or, several of them. Not just, like 2 seconds of Mustafar at the beginning of Episode 9, which was great. I'm not complaining, but I mean, I feel like we could have gotten so much more. In the Battle of Coruscant, R2 is destroyed. R2's head is scorched. Emotion like we've never seen before from 3PO. Finn is speechless. He's crushed by it all. Chewie takes R2's scorched shell onto his back. That would have been a beautiful scene, man. And R2 would have had such a more prominent role in this movie. I feel like it would have been just so much more impactful, if that's a word. But that was one thing I think they dropped the ball on, is that they didn't get the crew back together. They didn't get Leia, Han, Luke all in one shot. Like, why? Like, now we'll never get that, ever. That's why the sequel trilogy, for me, while I liked parts of it, is somewhat just forgettable, in my opinion. I feel like they dropped the ball a lot with it. They could have done so much more. Rey and Kylo fight in the peak of the temple on Mortis. Kylo's new mask is visible. Check out his mask. It's almost like a Revan-looking mask. It's almost like a Mandalorian-looking mask. Not quite, of course. He's got a lot of different things going on, but you get that bit of a vibe with the top part and the red and the points down. It looks cool. She looks sick. This is the Rey I would have loved to have seen. A very strong and powerful Rey with reason. Because she was strong and powerful, but she didn't really earn that right. She was just the granddaughter of Palpatine and kind of just beat everyone up. Now, as powerful as Palpatine is, it's cool, but I would have loved to have seen some training. I mean, Anakin was the chosen one, and no one was supposed to be stronger than him, ever, in Star Wars. George Lucas has said this a million times, that he was the chosen one. If he didn't burn on Mustafar, he didn't lose to Obi-Wan, which apparently was actually the very first thing he had in his head before he even created Episode 4, was the fight on the lava planet, which is pretty cool if you think about it. That's really where it started at all. So the high ground dates pretty far back. So yeah, a Rey that would have trained and earned her skill would have been something that I would have really liked to have seen. We got to see a little bit of that in Episode 9, but it was unfortunate that we had to wait all the way up to there to see it. This is something that I think was absolutely amazing, and I feel like we should have seen this in the actual film itself. Luke blocks Kylo's lightsaber with his hand. So like in Episode 9, where he grabs the saber and said a Jedi's weapon deserves more respect, which I teared up at. Like when I saw that, one of the reasons I really loved Episode 9 was because it fixed a lot of the things in Episode 8 that really crushed Star Wars for me. And that's one of the reasons why I praise it, because it fixed a lot of that. Now, if Episode 8 didn't have those issues for me, and if you like Episode 8, that's great. More power to you. But for me, it retconned a lot of stuff from when I was growing up. So when it fixed a lot of that stuff for me, I was just giving it extra brownie points because it resurrected a lot of inside anger and sadness that I had for my favorite character, Luke, who wouldn't have said a lot of those things that he said. So that's one reason for me I resonated so well with Episode 9, because I was so deeply hurt by Episode 8. Needless to say, of course, it was very disjointed upon my second viewing. I got to really see the bigger picture and, step away and be like, okay, like, why did this have to happen? Why did that have to happen? This doesn't really make sense. That's very rushed. While I still enjoyed it, I feel like so much more could have been done in this film, in this whole trilogy of the sequel trilogy. This video's going on pretty long. If you're here, let me know in the comments below right now. I love you guys. So this would have been a really cool scene. Obviously, he's a Force ghost. We see the blue aura. But it would have been sweet. This is Tuta Minis, it's called. Now, if you're dead, I don't really know how they're doing that. We have yet to learn that. But Tuta Minis is a Force power, and it's basically where you can hold lightning, you can hold Force lightning, you can hold lightsaber blades without getting messed up. Essentially, I don't know if this is how it works, but theorizing, Star Wars theory, there's a Force bubble around your hand, and it's protecting you. Otherwise, you'd get Anakin'd or Luked. This is a really cool scene. Once it becomes clear the First Order is losing the Battle of Coruscant, Hux pulls out a purple lightsaber and commits seppuku, which is suicide, I assume. Now, the purple lightsaber. Obviously, it's supposed to be purple, whatever. In the script, Hux grabs Mace Windu's lightsaber. He collects it from the base of Coruscant. And he collects these lightsabers. He collects it. He's almost like a General Grievous. Collects it, and he kills himself with one of his collections. How cool would have that? Like, dude, like, it's just a missed opportunity. Like, so many cool things we could have seen. Gee, I'm going through puberty. Leia and BB-8, possibly Leia recording the hologram. So this is maybe the hologram that she was recording for this scene. Wait, where is it? This one right here. Perhaps the one she was broadcasting. This would have been really cool to see. She's in her old Princess Leia outfit. She's got gray hair. But it's just, again, sad because not only did we not get that, but we could have never gotten that because Carrie Fisher's untimely death. And it bugs me because I could have gone and met her at a local Comic-Con years ago, and I was like, I can't make it. I'll go next year. And sure enough, she passes away. So she's like, you never know, man. You never know what kind of a curveball life throws you. So, anyways, that's that. That's it for all of these concept art images for the original script for Episode 9. As I said, I haven't read the whole thing, but I've read some parts of it, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty damn amazing. I would love to one day talk with Colin Trevorrow, maybe have him on the channel or something. If you guys would be down for that, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know more. I mean, I'm sure he's probably under contract and stuff, and he can't say anything, but dude, the fact that these are leaking, like, this is, someone's obviously leaking this stuff, and it's cool. I'm happy they did because it just shows the different vision that we would have gotten. Much different vision. Anyways, onwards and upwards we go to infinity and beyond, in the words of one of my favorite characters, Buzz Lightyear. Mandalorian, great show. I love it. And Clone Wars Season 7 coming out, as well as some other very exciting things that we're going to be getting with Star Wars and not with Star Wars, which I'll be announcing. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching this video. Hit a like if you did enjoy it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, remember, the Force will be with you always. See you guys.